Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Bill Edition. My name is Leon Jones. And in this segment, I'm going to talk about another murder suicide that has taken place. So, the title of this morning's video is I Can't Take It Anymore. Now, for roughly a week, many of us who are on YouTube have been talking about the triple murder suicide that has taken place, that took place in my home state of Maryland, which ended in a city that I was raised up in called Columbia, Maryland. If you're not familiar with Columbia, Maryland, it is in Howard County. I know my mother still lives there. Beautiful area. That murder suicide took place at the 7300 block of Eden Brook, which I believe that's either in the village of King's Contrivance or Owen Brown. I can't remember, but I know it's in that area. Now, this story comes out of my home state, my new home state. I've been here for 6 years, of Indiana. And here on the channel, I'm going to start doing more news stories, whether they're local or whether they're national. It was a 20-year-old that offed his family and himself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you see the footage for yourself. Fair use, fair use, fair use. You got to excuse me for the commercials, but these ads, they're going to play because the ads, of course, make money outskipping. Fair use, fair use. Fair use, folks. Well, this is in my state of Indiana. Allen County, if you're not familiar with Allen County, it's in the Fort Wayne area. You got places like South Haven there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go through this story. And I'm going to give you my humble opinion on what's going on. Now, this hasn't caught on nationally, but it's a local matter. But it's very important that all news is reported. So, Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Allen County Coroner's Office said a 20-year-old shot his mother, father, sister before taking his own life Monday night. Now, again, the date is November 30th, 2021, but it's right in the holiday season. And I always say around these seasons, these holidays, a number of individuals get the holiday blues. But I digress. Let's move on. The coroner identified the relatives as 50-year-old Mark A. Long, 45-year-old Lisa Renee Long, and 15-year-old Mahala Long. All three died by gunshot wounds, and their deaths were ruled a homicide. Now, officials said the shooter is 20-year-old Samuel Mason Long, the son and brother of the victims. They said he died by suicide. Police first responded to the ranch-style home around 9 p.m. Now, Monday, after they received calls of shots fired inside a house, the Allen County Sheriff's Department Chief Deputy Troy Hirschberger confirmed to WETA that a woman who was in a different area of the home when the shooting happened was able to escape and call for help. He said the investigation noted that there were many weapons in the home. Officials believe they were legally obtained. He noted that there were no signs of forced entry into the home and currently has no indication of a motive. Now, Hirschberger also said there's no indication of a criminal history for anyone involved. Now, the modest home was decorated for Christmas with a lighted tree visible through the front window. Holiday bows were placed on the front door, and there were several cars in the driveway. Now, one neighbor said that he worried for others living on the rural road. Now, it is very shocking to us, he said. We have a lot of friends who live down there, so your first instinct is it someone you know? We've had a lot of people call and ask us if we were okay. Now, a contingent of police and first responders remained at the home until early morning hours as investigators processed the scene. Okay, let me give you my take on this. I don't have any facts, but I'm going to go into the psychology part. Just like the murder-suicide that took place in Baltimore, Maryland, and Columbia, Maryland, I'm going to say, and this is just an opinion of mine, did this 20-year-old need help? Did this 20-year-old have any other mental health issues? Although there was no criminal record, sometimes people appear to be all right at the surface. But in the end, they're not all right. Now, again, when it comes to men's mental health status in this country, because this country basically surrounds itself with women's issues, but the country doesn't believe that males have issues as well. Well, we do. Some of us are afraid to call for help. Now, this was an intact family. So this also says that no matter if you're baby mama, baby daddy, or even an intact family, that this type of murder suicide won't take place. Now, first of all, I just want to say this to everybody. This is, I call it the holiday season. Now, I don't celebrate Christmas, so I don't celebrate New Year's like that. I just like the nativity scenes. But between Thanksgiving and New Year's, there are a number of depressed people. Now, this 20-year-old in Allen County, or I'm going to say the city of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I live here in Indiana. Fort Wayne's about 2 hours from me. This individual, he was 20 years old. What was going on in his life? Did he have a job? Now, it could have been 5 people to have been murdered, and that would have been 4 plus himself, but one of them escaped. But I have to ask, was this 20-year-old depressed? Again, there are a number of individuals during the holidays that commit suicide. Suicide is big amongst males, regardless of race, whether it's child support issues, whether it's divorce issues, work, family issues, you name it. And I just want to say this. As a man, we cannot be afraid to ask for help. Now, again, if your own family isn't willing to help you, seek help outside. I do not believe that blood is thicker than water because, for the most part, your family is going to be the ones to disregard you, but they will come to you when they need something. Now, this was an intact family. Now, I'm not going to go and put any race on it, but there is one word called rural that indicates that the family was a certain race. But again, when you go further south, you have African Americans who live in rural areas too. But I have to ask this question. Why is this taking place? I mean, prior to the triple murder suicide in Michigan, there was a shooting at school, at a high school, by a male. Now, is it getting that bad to where nobody is recognizing what males go through? For you all who work in the system, you better be careful. I'm just going to say that right now. You need to start helping some of these men out. But men, you got to call for help. I know if I have an issue, I'm going to call for help. A lot of us men have been told that we don't have feelings. We do have feelings. We have to control our feelings and our emotions. A lot of us men have been told men don't cry. All kinds of accolades have been stated about men. But if you look at the state of men today, a number of men are soft. Now, here's my humble opinion. The reason why they off themselves is because they don't want to face what would happen to them if they have to serve a prison term. Now, they could plead insanity. Now, I'm saying this just like the other triple murder suicide that happened in Maryland, because we need individuals to start recognizing that people have mental health issues. And I'm going to do more and more stories about this. but I'm going to connect it with mental health issues. Now, the news story was old, November 30th, 2021, but it still happened. 4 people lost their lives. And shout out to my sweet chocolate for giving me the story as well. Because I would have never known. She didn't research this. But it's imperative that we start looking at mental health issues. Depression can cause suicidal thoughts. That's why I'm looking at depression. Now, there are medicines for depression. There's cognitive behavioral therapy for depression. All that works, but you have to have support groups. Loneliness can also cause suicidal tendencies. And just because you live around people or you live with people, it doesn't mean you're not lonely, but you have to talk about the issue. See, a number of us men, we have big egos. Many of us are bullheaded. We think we're Superman. But at the end of the day, we're human just like everybody else. We have issues. I know I had anger issues. I know I had issues where I was impatient. I know the job was bothering me. I seeked help. Some things you can't talk to your folks about because they won't listen. That's okay. Talk to somebody and get the information off your chest. Don't exaggerate it. Get it off your chest. I've seen a number of news stories happen like this on a weekly basis. Some get more media exposure than others. But this murder-suicide indicates to me that this intact family seemed like they had it all together. But there was a missing piece. The son didn't have it together. Now, again, you have to ask the questions. Did the son have a job? Did the son have a girlfriend? And did he try to talk to somebody about a girlfriend? The relationship didn't last and no one listened. Did that make him angry? Did the son lose a scholarship? I don't know, but you have to ask those questions. Around this holiday season is a season for individuals to be depressed. Now, I don't condone the behavior of murdering any individuals, and that includes yourself. But I will say this. Before you have suicidal tendencies, what you have to do is seek help. And as men, we cannot be afraid to ask for help. In fact, we men need support groups. You know, the funny thing about this is when it comes to Alcohol Anonymous, there's really no medicines to cure alcoholism. But what happens during Alcohol Anonymous, which is known as AA, it's a support group. And what happens during that support group is that individuals will sit around and discuss their experiences. And it's very important that you have individuals who share the same experiences with you because you're going to understand what's going on. To me, support groups are the best way to go. Getting help is another way to go. But if you're on a program, you have to stay with the program. You cannot fake like nothing is going on. Again, I'm looking at everything from a psychological matter. What led up to this behavior? I want to get to the bottom. I already know what took place at the surface. But in the long run, if we don't understand that men have mental health issues, more of this is going to take place. And I've seen a rise of this ever since the Columbine shootings. You have instances where bullying is taking place. I remember a while back, a video was out. Gentleman caught his wife cheating. He killed himself. And see, here's what I'm going to say to you all too. After the incident took place, we can't come back and say, wow, I wish y'all were there to help that person. No. While that person's alive and well, you try to help that person. But that person's got to admit to you that they have a problem. And in the long run, it takes the support group and it takes the individual to solve their problems. Mental health is an issue. And when I do more of these news clips, I'm going to tie it to mental health and depression, stress. I'm going to tie these issues together because it is the holiday season. And let me give you a bit of advice or suggestion. During this holiday season, if you have someone, make sure you get in along with that person. Loneliness, like I said before, can lead to suicide as well. But if you're going to interact with family, make sure family members are getting along. See, I don't know if this family was getting along because a lot of families run around like everything is okay when it's not. Individuals have to be cordial with one another. I don't have the facts of what led up to this murder suicide in Fort Wayne, Indiana. But what I can tell you is the 20-year-old had some issues. He had some thoughts on his mind, but he didn't discuss them. Just like in a triple murdericide that took place in Maryland, what made this 20-year-old snap? Those are the questions we should be asking. We're not asking those questions. I'm asking those questions. And at the end, you have 4 people, family members, who are dead, including him. And this was an intact family, like I said before. So, during this holiday season or any other period, start talking to one another. If you're at work and you're having problems, talk to your supervisor. If you're at home, talk to family members. Now, for me, I'm lucky my mom and dad are still living. So I also have sweet chocolate I talk to too. Something happens. But I'm going to say this. You live one time. Make sure you maximize all of the opportunities. Because it's too much of this going on. And like I said, in the end, you have 4 family members who are dead because the son didn't tell anybody about his issues, or nobody in the family recognized the issues. The communication was off. For the love of God, you see some psychological issues or emotional issues going on, talk to that person. And if you're that person who believes they have psychological issues, let somebody know. Because your life is important. Other lives are important. What I have to say, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on this case as well. And start with psychology. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show, right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some educational content, check out the Mind of STEM channel. On that channel, a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math, where I talk about subjects like etymology, statistics, civil engineering, and construction management. And I'll be bringing the Blog Talk Radio Show back in 2022. I have computer issues. I'm going to have to get another computer. But in the meantime, if you like the content, want to see more of the content, but you can't find me on YouTube, for the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show, check me out on Twitter, MeWe, and Parler. And for the Mind of STEM channel, check me out on Twitter and LinkedIn. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to leave you with this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Now, when I talk about issues, if you're not the one that I'm talking about, or if you are the one that I'm talking about, this is what needs to happen. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious day. God bless you. I'm out.